How do you plan on implementing aircraft that perform multiple roles?
На этапе альфа-тестирования в проекте World of Warships
During the World of Warships alpha test phase, every plane present in the game fulfilled a strictly specific role. They were made that way so as to make controlling squadrons more comfortable for the player. By hitting a single button, players can launch a recon plane or a bomber group depending on the situation. Designers possess tools for tweaking every element of an airframe, whether they need it to for reasons of balance or historical accuracy. Thus, the U.S. Grumman TBF Avenger may be converted from a torpedo carrier into a recon plane, and the Japanese Kyushu J-7W will be able to carry bombs. Double-purpose planes are now actively used in the project, though I cannot say if they will stay in the release version. Potentially, this is a great option for airplane research mechanics.
What is the most time-consuming task during the current stage of the game's development?
The most time-consuming task is creating 3D models of our ships. For instance, creating a battleship, from blueprint searches, 3D modeling, tweaking gameplay parameters, to adding effects and QA checks may take up to 6 months. Every stage is followed by numerous checks, historical components, settings, high standards of visuals. Everything is given a good looking over. Along with this, there's another complex task, adjusting the game balance. As the game evolves, a number of new variables that influence balance arise. These can only be checked over the course of alpha, beta, and super tests. Moreover, these checks and changes to the settings are performed by a number of departments within the studio, from game design and map artists to server programmers and business analysts. This process never ends, and its purpose is to continuously improve.
Will there be different torpedo types in the game? For example, do oxygen and electric-driven torpedoes have lower visibility compared to steam-driven ones?
The torpedoes in our game will differ based on a number of parameters, such as stealth and their engine type, as mentioned in the question. The other main parameters are distance and speed. These will directly influence the range from which you may attack enemies and the accuracy of your shots. Thus, the range may vary from 2 to 40 kilometers and the speed from 20 to 50 knots. The damage dealt also varies widely. Currently, we do not plan to introduce different aiming sequences and fuse types so as to avoid overburdened gameplay. If you look at history, as weapons evolved, ships carried a greater and greater number of torpedoes, and this is something we will surely portray in our game.
How will armor-piercing and high-explosive shells work in the game?
Unlike tanks, naval vessels possess multi-layered armor. Almost every element of a ship has armor, so incoming shells will surely meet a number of them on their way to hitting magazines or engine rooms. These can range from an armor belt to various structures and armored decks. Basically, it may take up to 3 or 4 shells to blast through them. On the subject of shells, we use 2 types of them in World of Warships, AP and HE. The former is mainly used to cause damage behind armor, and the latter for damaging lightly armored sections. Generally, the game mechanics, as those of World of Tanks, are used, but some points differ greatly. In World of Warships, shells have fuses. Fuses for AP shells were set up to detonate after they passed about 10 meters of penetration. This ensured the explosion would occur near important modules. On the other hand, if a shell met no decent barriers on its way, it could pass through the vessel's entire hull, dealing no harm at all.
Will there be a chance to destroy your own bomber during a tense, close combat?
Are ships capable of destroying their own planes? No, this is hardly possible even in the fiercest clashes. On the other hand, the opposite situation may actually occur. It is quite possible in the case of torpedo planes that they release their deadly load at a considerable distance from the target, and the torpedo's path cannot be altered once it hits the water's surface. In situations where some ships are actively maneuvering nearby, they may easily be hit by Allied torpedoes and sunk. I recall one situation when our cruiser advanced forward into enemy territory and consequently spotted a hostile aircraft carrier. A couple of torpedo plane squadrons managed to take off before our cruiser cannons managed to clean the opponent's decks. While this was happening, the carrier kept maneuvering so as to be able to meet the cruiser with the biggest caliber guns. However, once she got into the desired position, we noticed that now she was situated between the cruiser and her own torpedoes.
Do you share development ideas between studios? For example, will garage battles from World of Tanks have the possibility of showing up in World of Warships?
Yes, we regularly communicate with our colleagues from Allied studios and track their development plans and the most interesting ideas that have already been introduced. Not so long ago, we performed a focus test for clan battles in World of Warships. The concept differs a bit from that of World of Tanks and has given us lots of interesting opportunities. Regarding garage battles, this concept will also differ when compared to World of Tanks, yet our game will surely have some alternative game modes. We already have some prototypes of these, so soon they will be revealed to our super and alpha testers.
Put your questions to the developers on the game's official blog, worldofwarships.com.